Hello, Facebook friends. It's Kadri here, coming to you live on Facebook. So today's topic is going to be on how to manifest anything you want. And before we get into that, I just want to touch base a little bit about the last broadcast that I did, which was pretty personal to me. It was about a cleanse that I was doing, and I pretty much had to change all of my eating habits and a lot of my lifestyle. And reflecting back on it, I had actually done to stay on schedule with my Facebook Lives on Sunday, every Sunday at 1 p.m. here in Costa Rica time. I probably should have postponed it until the following day. I was still a little bit crazy coming out of my cleanse. It's funny that when I look back at it, how I was feeling and my mind and all of that, and just checking in with myself, I was kind of laughing and oh my God, it's like, wow, you could just see what a difference it has been every day since my cleanse that I've come out of it. And my mind is becoming a lot more peaceful, my body's more spacious, and I'm still staying on the diet. No sugar, sugar-free, alcohol-free, bread-free, and caffeine, coffee-free. And I've just pretty much introduced a little bit of fish. I've been eating fish. That's the only thing that I've introduced into my diet. So I just wanted to give you a little bit of an update on what was going on with that. Okay, so talking about manifestation, and this is something that it's been a big part of my life, working with manifestation and creating whatever it is, consciously creating what I want in my life. For a long time, ever since I was in my early 20s, and I had a consciousness expanding experience, and I started realizing, that with the studying the mind and the emotions in the body, and so forth, and trust me, whatever I'm sharing with you here on this Facebook Live, this is just my ongoing experiment. And I have not perfected anything, and yet it is a practice to me. So I embrace whatever it is that I learned from my past experiences, and I put it into practice. So I will continue to work with this. I'm just going to share with you what I have, a little bit of a twist that I have that promotes happiness. So for those of you who do not know about manifestation, it's been around for a long time, and I'm sure you've heard of, the law of I just forgot. Law of attraction. It's been around for hundreds of years, and also the book Secret came out 15, 20 years ago, and that really was popular for a while. And however, I do want to point out that the Tibetans, especially the Tibetans, all the mind practice, spiritual practices, do work with the mind, and have known for a long time that whatever it is that we think is actually going to create our reality. That's pretty much put a bare bones description of what manifestation is. What we think will ultimately manifest into our reality, into our direct experience. So, and now the quantum physicists have actually come and, proven a lot of this to be true, and how the mind and thinking really affects our reality in the way that things manifest for us. So there's a little bit of a twist, and the twist is that we have a conditioning. So this conditioning that we have, if we're not clear and we're not conscious, what happens is that often our reality is unfolding before us, and we're like, well, I didn't ask for this, I didn't want this, I didn't sign up for this, I didn't think about this one. However, this is happening to me, that's happening to me, and we become victims to our experience. However, the quantum physicists and the Tibetan Buddhist masters have proven, and to a certain degree with science, that we're actually creating our reality through subconsciously. So whatever subconscious experiences, belief systems that we have integrated into our lives, that is what we are manifesting. And it's a broad subject, so it's not something that can be covered within, the 25, 30 minutes. So if anybody's on here, please go ahead and say hi, push the emoji button so I know you're here, and I feel like I'm not just talking to my head, talking back to me. Thank you. So what I am going to do, the first thing, I'll list some of the things that I've kind of listed, how I work, and the system that I have integrated into my life, and it's an ongoing practice for me. And so the first thing, I will put it up here on the screen too, is to be clear. You have to be really clear about what it is that you want. Does it align with your principles and with your integrity? And you just have to really think about it. You have to ask yourself, when I want something, how will that serve me? How will that serve my life? How will that serve the people that I'm sharing life with? So, and also you have to do the inner work. You have to kind of clean up. When we start asking ourselves these tough questions, a lot of times what happens is that we start seeing all of the, we open up the closet and we bring light to the areas where there has been shadows. And this is good because we need to have completions around these things in order to have clarity in what it is that we really want to manifest. So the deeper we look inward, the more space it gives for our reality to shift in a clear way. So we're actually completing incompletions. Every time we go inward and we see some place that needs to be cleaned up, a part that needs to be accepted, whether it's a forgiveness practice or healing practices that we are doing. That's a huge, broad topic also. So the more we clean up our inner world and our belief system, to where it becomes conscious and we're in line with our integrity and our principles, the easier it's going to be for us to be clear about what it is that we want to manifest. Right? Okay. So the other thing about clarity is that while we're doing this work, we start realizing that we have this connection, our subconscious connection, because of our conditioning, with what it is that we want. So if we want wealth, I'll just use a couple of examples. So if you want wealth, you have to really look at what your relationship is to wealth, how you perceive it. Is there any negative connotations around wealth? I mean, when you think about wanting to have wealth, what does that feel like to you? And also, what is your belief system around wealth? Is there a belief system around greed? I mean, my thing around wealth was, if I have wealth, I'm going to be perceived as being greedy. And also, it works into unworthiness. So if I don't deserve to be happy, I don't deserve wealth. So a lot of those things do come up when you look at and examine what it is that you want in a deeper and more clear, precise way. The other one is relationships. So relationships are a good one. It's like, I want an ideal relationship, and this is what it looks like, and all that. I want a really, beautiful partner. I want somebody who shares the same values as I do. I want somebody who can communicate really well with me, that we can have fun and we have activities and all that kind of stuff. Yet if we have a belief system around relationship that has a fearful connotation to it, afraid of being hurt, afraid of being rejected. So those are common things that that occur with the relationship-wise. And also, from my own experience, I'll speak to that. I found myself for many years in relationships being with people that I was not compatible with, that could not connect with me on an emotional level, yet there was this deep attraction to them. And I surrendered myself, and there was a huge power shift going back and forth, and codependency, whatever you want to call it. That's the kind of relationships that I was finding myself in. So it was either with somebody that could not give me what I needed, the emotional support that I needed in a relationship, or I was with somebody that was really everything that I really wanted and desired, yet I was not able to open myself up to this person. Hence, being afraid of being hurt, afraid of being rejected, so I protected myself from the possibility of having a really clear, loving, supportive, balanced relationship. So what I would do is I would not commit myself to those kind of relationships, and I would set myself up, and I would sabotage myself by thinking, I deserve better, or whatever mind fuck that comes along with trying to protect myself from being rejected or being hurt, being in a relationship. So that is a little bit about being really clear about the idea and the relationship to your idea of what it is that you really want. The more work we do around that, the more clarity we get in what it is that we want to manifest, and we also have the foundation clear and spacious for this to happen in. And ultimately, all this comes down to, when we do that kind of internal work, is it comes down to worthiness. It's self-worth, self-love. The more work we do like that, the deeper that we dig, we find ourselves experiencing self-love, self-compassion, and that in itself creates the very thing that we're looking for from the outside world. This is where, especially relates to relationships. Okay, so another thing is being clear is you have to be really realistic about what it is that you want. And I'll use an example. Like, I really love Porsche sports cars. Being a boy, of course, I'm going to use a car as an example. I live in Costa Rica, and it would be really unrealistic for me to manifest a Porsche 911 Turbo Targa in the town that I live in, where the streets are like the surface of the moon. You really need a quad or a full-on four-wheel drive vehicle here, so it just wouldn't work. So that's being clear about what it is that you want and you desire. Okay, so that's the clarity one. And then the next one is being grateful. Okay, so being grateful is an easy one. This is something that we can actually do. We should be doing all the time as a practice, so we don't feel lack and or believe that we have lack when we're wanting something from the outside. Okay? So if we are grateful, so we do, just make a list. You can make a list about what it is that you're thankful for and what you're grateful for, all the way from the people in your life to the breath that you're able to take in and out. The breath, if you can't think of anything else, you have the breath. Oh my God, what is I mean, what a wonderful thing that is. The breath. It's constantly there and it's happening. It's going in and out, going in and out. And it's supporting us, giving us life force in all of our organs. I mean, be happy for our body. Whatever it is that you have. If you have 2 hands and 2 feet and you can walk, wow. Be grateful for being able to walk, because there are people who can't walk. And there are people who can't see. And so whatever it is that you have in your life, be grateful for it. And this is actually what it does is it will start creating the energy, putting it out there when we start being grateful and being thankful for what we already have in our lives. What we're really doing is we're creating the energy of abundance. And when we create that energy of abundance, that's what we put out into the universe. And that's what will come back. So what you're doing by being grateful is that you're creating the feeling that you need to have in order to create what it is that you want. So, yeah. So, and also, when we're grateful, we feel good. I mean, that's like as simple as you can get. When you feel grateful, you feel good. I mean, I cannot think of a time when I was grateful for something and my heart was expanding and I was just super open, that I wasn't feeling good. I mean, it's just the two does not fit together. It's like oil and water, right? So anyhow, if we're in a poverty mind, if we're in a state of lack, or we tend to shrink and we close off possibilities. And when we're in a state of gratitude, we expand and we're open to possibilities. So we're open to things happening, inviting in what it is that we want to create in our lives. Whatever it is, it doesn't really matter. This is the foundational part of bringing what it is that we really want in our lives. Okay, so I hope you guys are all following me on this one. I'm going to move on to the third one. Go ahead and every once in a while, if you like what I'm saying, or if you want to just let me know that you're there, go ahead and hit the emoji buttons, and you can ask questions if you like, and you can also write in whatever it is that you want. I love it when I see things pop up on the sidebar. Okay, so the third one. By the way, I'm really, really passionate about this subject. It's a really broad subject, and it's something that really needs to be an ongoing conversation. So this is just an invitation to have this conversation right now, and also have this conversation with yourself, and continue this conversation with other like-minded people in your life. Okay, so be generous, right? And what it is, actually 2 parts of that. So the first part of that is be generous with yourself. I mean, be generous. Be open, and you probably already do this, so it's a no-brainer. Give somebody a hug. Give somebody a compliment. Be generous with your time. Give somebody your ear, somebody that needs, invite the possibility of being generous and being supportive to somebody in your life, or even to a stranger. Give a compliment to a stranger that you're standing in line with, or you just happen to connect and, engage, and smile at them. Oh my God, one smile can move the earth. I mean, that's all. I could probably do a whole Facebook Live on the power of smiles, just that, okay? It's like the butterfly effect. Just one smile will change the direction of a typhoon on the other side of the earth. It is that powerful. It's the butterfly effect. Okay, so the second part to this, the being generous, is no attachment, okay? So and this part is this is a really broad subject, because non-attachment is, I it's just so many different layers to it and so many different factors to it. This is another subject that we can have ongoing conversations around. Okay, um, and so the first part of the non-attachment is to be you let go of attachment to the outcome of whatever it is that you want, right? And so if we want something, we have to also let go of wanting it. So the reason for that is when a lot of times when we're desiring something, we're wanting something, and there's a difference between desire and want. I believe that wanting comes from the mind and desire comes from the heart. So as we go on, I hope it'll make sense to you and how the desire and wanting comes together and aligns in our hearts, and it puts that energy out there. So we have to let it go. So when we're grasping onto whatever it is that we have in our lives, whatever belief system or whatever things or relationships, just ideas, when we are grasping onto it, what we don't have is the space to allow and invite in other things into our experience. And one of my teachers described this to me as, if you're holding onto a handful of coins, yeah, and you're holding onto it so you're not going to lose them, right? You have your hand, your fists around, you're protecting them. Yet it takes an enormous amount of energy to hold onto those coins, and it doesn't create any more space for more coins or anything else to come into that space where the coins are. However, if you let go of your attachment, right, and it goes like this, if you open your hand and you let go of attachment, that doesn't mean that you have to let go of what it is that you already have. You can still hold on to whatever it is that you desire to have in your life. Yet you're not grasping at it. You're not gripping to it from fearful belief system that you're going to lose it, and the poverty mind, whatever else. So it creates space for other things to come into it. Okay? So that's one part about it. And the other part of it is to, when we are generous with our things and the very thing that we want more of, that actually creates the energy to for that very similar thing to come back into our lives. And I'll use myself as an example on this one. I was like a master for a period of time. I was in the city of Boston, traveling and going to yoga studios or whatever. Parking has always been an issue in the city of Boston. So, and all of my friends knew me as the master parking spot manifester. And I was actually really good at manifesting parking spots. And not only because I can just put my mind on it, and I can visualize a parking spot and do basic garden variety, steps of thinking about it, visualizing it, feeling it, and having it happen. It was the combination of that. And yet, another thing that somebody else pointed out to me that I was doing, that they believe was really creating the manifestation of parking spots on a consistent basis for me in the city. And by the way, whenever we went somewhere, everybody wanted to ride with me. Just saying. I would find myself, and this is the reason I was doing this was because I have been on the other end of getting parking tickets in different towns, and let me know if you've experienced this before. You just literally put just the right amount of quarters into the machine, and you come out there and you're 1 minute over and you have a parking ticket, right? That sucks. So what I went on a mission to do for a long period of time was, anytime I saw a car with a meter that had a red on it, I would put a quarter in it. It's just what I would do. Put a quarter in there, and just like as an act of generosity, put a quarter in somebody's machine, parking machine, that I have no idea who this person is, yet I made a difference in their lives. And so that's another aspect of looking at non-attachment and being generous is. And another one is anybody that comes in, um, comes into my life, that's a surfer, comes through my town, and, hey, like I need a surfboard or I need a wetsuit or whatever. I'm like, hey, yeah, sure, I got plenty. Here's a surfboard for you. Use it. And you know what? Anytime I've traveled around the world, just about anywhere I went, and if I ended up going there without a surfboard and I'm going to a surf town, surf place, Bali or, South Africa, anywhere that I go, there's always been surfboards available for me. I would ask friends, hey, I don't have a surfboard, or even I was just hanging out with somebody today from Hawaii that we met a year and a half ago in Hawaii. Just met him and he loaned me a surfboard. He loaned Lori, my girlfriend, a surfboard too. So that's just another example. It's super simple, yet you really need to think about it in those levels. Okay? So the fourth one is be positive. Right? We have to be positive. We have to trust that the universe is. We have to trust in our process. We have to really believe that this process works, and that we have to believe that there's abundance. And there's an abundance, unending abundance in the universe. And believe me, there is. And it's only our limited belief, our conditioned belief system that limits us into believing that there isn't enough. Yet, if you sit and you meditate on it without having to need anything or be in a grip of wanting, you will see and you will feel how much abundance there is in this world. It will, sometimes in my practice when I experience this, it just blows my mind. And just tears just come down my face, just sweet tears of like, being alive and, understanding and knowing that everything is okay. Everything is okay. Everything is okay. Regardless of all the fears, all the humanness that I have, and all the stuff that I have, everything is okay. And it's a powerful experience to have and to cultivate in our lives. So, that's that's a huge one. And opposite of that is self-doubt is going to undermine everything. It'll end up shrinking us, and self-doubt. And next thing you know, we're just constantly thinking about what we don't have. We start worrying about, fearful of the future, and we start regretting what we didn't or we did in the past. And we just kind of get lost in being in the present moment, where manifestation actually takes place. So, self-doubt, fear will contract us, and being positive and being, hopeful actually expands us, and it gives us an experience of expansion and connectedness also. And another thing I want to say is that, if this is probably for practice, anytime you say should to yourself or shouldn't, there's a good chance that it comes from somebody else's belief system, and that I would say that you need to really check in that you're not dwelling in the past and also fearful of the future, simultaneously bouncing back and forth. So shoulds and shouldn'ts, check in with yourself. Why am I saying that? Where is that coming from? Who's really saying that? What do I really mean by that? How does that serve me? How does that impact my life in a positive way? Shoulds and shouldn'ts. Not, it's a really good indicator. Don't beat yourself up for saying that, because it's a part of our language. Yet it's really important to be mindful of our language when we're speaking to ourselves in our own internal dialogue. Okay. Moving on to the next one. Is everybody with me? I want to just say hi to everybody. If you just come up, if you just came on, please write something sweet, a wave or a heart, and hit the emoji button. I love that. Okay, be patient, right? Be patient. So manifesting. So time is really relative. So time is actually an interesting thing, because it's a concept. It's something that we need to be organized in our lives. Yet, according to science and quantum physics and the Tibetan, especially the spiritual traditions where they work with reality, time doesn't exist. It's just a concept of mind. So according to what it is that you want to bring and invite into your life, it could happen instantaneously, or it could take years for it to happen. And I'll share one example, and I'll share an example with my partner that I have right now. And this is speaking to a more of a complex thing that manifested in my life, and that I was able to connect back in the past at different stages of my life, where I actually consciously asked for a certain type of a person to be in a relationship with. Okay, so and some practical, aside from the fact that I wanted to have somebody in my life who was going to mutually love me and care for me and be open to communicate, work through whatever challenges that may come in a loving and compassionate way. Somebody who can meet me equally on many emotional and spiritual and physical levels. Be a beautiful lover, and somebody who we just like each of us can look at each other and just be filled, and the smell of each other's skin, just be turned on, and not lose that. Right, so that's one aspect of it, and I did consciously ask for that. That was probably like 6 years ago, after I went through a really awakening, heartbreaking relationship ending, and I'm still friends with this person, and it's a loving relationship, and so which I'm really grateful for. Thank you. You know who you are. And then. So I have that. I've never had that in my life. I have manifested that, and I actually, it really literally took 2 years for that to happen. And yet, if I think about it, I think that I have been wanting that for a long time, and I have been asking for that for a long time. It's just the energies just came together for that to manifest the way that it needs to manifest. Hence, I did the work that I needed to do, and with self-acceptance and self-love and such, work around some of those things that I talked about, how I used to sabotage myself in relationships and sabotage relationships, and afraid of getting hurt and being rejected and such. And then the other part was, I remember I'm a surfer, and I wanted to have a girlfriend that surf, a partner that I can go surfing with. Wow, right? I manifested that. But however, I had asked for that at another time, and I didn't ask for it. I didn't sit down and put this order in and have this manifest for me. This is something in time. It was accumulating for it to manifest into the relationship that I have right now. And so I have a girlfriend that surfs. It's something that we really share and love to share with each other, and it's beautiful, right? And this is actually the next one is actually, and I'll end with this one for the relationship aspect. I remember when I was like 20, 28, 29 years old. I was in New York City, and I was a fashion model and doing the model thing. I ended up hanging out with this crew that was from France, and half of them were from France, and they had this accent. The women had this accent, this French English accent, and just the way they talked, and it was like I just found it so fascinating and so sexy at the same time. I was like, wow, I've always thought I would love to have a girlfriend. And I remember this consciously years and years ago saying that to myself consciously. I would love to be with someone with a partner that has a French English accent. Well, I got one. Okay. So here it is. It manifested, I don't know how many years later that manifested. Okay? So that's time is relative. So it's I hope that example helps, so when we put the order in, we have to also let it go and not have expectations within a certain amount of time, because all that's going to do is limit us or the universe to do the work that it needs to do to deliver what it is that we need to have manifested for us. So we just kind of let it go, have it happen, and it will unfold. And do baby steps. Manifest parking spots, or manifest phone calls from friends. Let me know how many of you have thought about a friend, and not but a minute later, or maybe in the same day, they called you. Please write it down. Tell me yes or no. I'm almost positive that each person that's watching this has had that experience. If not one time, multiple times, okay? So play with that, play with manifesting, and play with, manifest small chores being done, incompletions. Manifest things that are going to support you to become a better manifester, to make you be more open to, and this creates good habits too, right? And the other thing on this subject of time and being patient is confirm manifestations that have manifested. So if you have an experience right now, just think back on, and I'm sure you will find different situations that have come up in your life, that you find yourself in, that you have actually had conscious thoughts around, and it may not have manifested exactly the same way that you had thought about it. However, it may have been a partial manifestation, or it may have been a full manifestation, or it may have been a tiny little manifestation, or it may have felt like what it is that you wanted to manifest, but it wasn't quite the same. So every time that you're actually confirming this, it creates a powerful, powerful foundation for the future, things that you're going to manifest in your life. It's it's kind of like, you have to be kind of like a scientist. You have to be a little geeky around this, lighthearted, geeky, play with it, make it fun, right? And you'll be amazed when you sit down and you start thinking and contemplating and just reviewing your past without having any regrets about anything. It will be amazing on the connection, the dots that you'll be able to connect with what it is that you have unfolding in your life right now, and how you may have consciously or partially consciously or subconsciously created that by your belief system or by your thinking. Okay. So next one. I mean, really, how can you not have a Facebook Live without me talking about meditation, right? All right. So the best way to connect to your deeper knowing and connect to your connectedness to the universe and to all other things that are in your life to other people is for you to have a meditation practice. Whatever way and form or shape that is for you, I would make a conscious effort to create space and time to contemplate, meditate, create peace, go out in nature, take a walk in nature, sit under a tree or hug a tree or walk, take a swim in the ocean, or just sit, in your meditation spot and, meditate or clear your mind. And so this is going to be your probably the biggest tool if you want to invite and create space to invite, consciously invite what it is that you want in your life. Being mindful and having a meditation practice is probably the biggest support and tool for that. And what it also does is it connects the thinking mind with the emotional body. So we also have to be able to separate the thinking mind, the wanting mind, because the wanting mind wants things right away. We want this desperate. It wants to have relief. It wants to have freedom. And yet, it's we call it the ego and the grasping mind and all that kind of conditioned mind. We want to use the mind to support us in our lives, yet we don't want to be ruled by the wanting mind. Right? What we want to do is we want to align our mind with our body, which is our nature, which is where our emotions and our feelings are. And so when we think, we emote. We emote feelings. So when we start thinking about good things, when we start thinking about things that we're grateful for, it brings up and emotes emotions of good feelings and being connected and being loved and compassion and happiness. So the more that we can align our thinking mind with our emotional body, we align in our heart. Our heart is actually, is where the two come together, and that's where happiness occurs. The happiness doesn't occur in our mind. We can't think happiness. We have to experience happiness, and that's the connection of the mind and the body, our emotions, coming together in our body and expanding. Okay. So you can't think yourself. You can't, think reality. I mean, because it's going to have its own. It's going to have its own. I mean, you may be able to think a parking spot, yet when it comes down to the nitty-gritty, the things that are really essential and powerful, it's just one aspect of it. Okay. The other thing is to be able to visualize, to be able to having a visual, whatever it is that you want. Not only are we thinking about it and what we're feeling, we want the feeling around that. The best way to create the positive feeling is to be able to visualize what it is that we want in our lives, what it is that we want to promote in our lives and invite in. So if we're able to visualize it, then it's going to tie our mind into positive action, and it's going to support our emotions to align with that visualization. So it all kind of works together. So in meditation is a really good place to practice with visualization. And it's also good to work with the inner critic and such. Okay? So remember, the mind seeks and the heart desires. The mind seeks, so the mind will seek and want things and grasp, and the heart desires, and it just expands out. So we want to experience desire because the heart will not have attachment with its desire. There's no attachment involved. It doesn't have that kind. It doesn't have the capacity of attachment in the heart. The mind has the capacity to attach. So it's really good to be to have clarity and distinction between those things. Okay? All right. Last one. Okay? My favorite. Okay. Surround yourself with good manifestors. Cha-ching. Okay? Important. This is probably, it really fine-tunes your ability of manifesting. It also aligns you and allies you with people who can manifest, right? So it's really good to have people who are really good manifestors, right? I am constantly trying, asking for and inviting people who are really good manifestors. And people who are really good manifestors, you know what? They tend to be positive, happy people. They tend to be generous. They tend to be grateful. They tend to be clear. They communicate clearly. I mean, they tend to be patient when you need patience, from your partner or from your friend. So that's like a no-brainer, right? Manifest good manifestors. They are happy people, okay? Really skillful manifestors. I'm not talking about manifestors that can manifest one aspect, that manifest wealth, but you're a fucking asshole. That's not the kind of, there's plenty of them that are out there in the news right now. That's not the kind of manifestors that I'm talking about. I'm talking about conscious, general manifestors. People who are manifesting on all different levels, okay? In the mind, in the body, and in the heart. Manifestors that manifest from the heart. Align yourself with these people. Ask to align and have these type of people come into your life. And I guarantee you probably already have, if you're watching this, you probably already have a few of them in your life. And be grateful for them. Be grateful for them because they're helping you right now and you may not even know it. Okay? You may be actually helping them too, and they may not know it, and you may not know it. Right? Okay. So, that's it. That's pretty much my, manifesting 101 according to Kadri. This is my twist, on it. It's like my little angle. That works for me. Okay? And ultimately what it comes down to is this is a formula for living well. If you follow all of these, all of these little steps that I give, and I'm not putting numbers on it, only because you can just, you don't need to do them sequentially. You can just, pick and choose whatever feels right and whatever feels comfortable for you. You don't have to do this in order. If you want to do it in order, that's fine too. It doesn't really matter if, being patient, being positive, being generous, being grateful, being clear, and, meditating and being around happy people, fuck. I mean, that is like, take any one of those and it's going to make you feel good and ultimately make you happy, okay? This is really a formula for living well. I mean, if you do this, ultimately, it doesn't matter what it is that you want in life because you're actually creating living well and being happy by just doing all of these things. I mean, it's really, really amazing. It's really, it blows my mind when I'm thinking about it, right? And yet it takes work. It takes diligence. And it takes, discipline sometimes. It takes, even just thinking positively, it takes sometimes, switching our mind from being in a negative thought pattern into a positive thought pattern. It takes a little bit of discipline. So that's it. That's what I got, okay? And I hope that it helps everybody. And right now, I don't even know how long I went on. It's 48 minutes. Oh, my God. Okay. Any questions? Anybody who's on right now, if you have any questions, this is the longest live I've done so far. And so I'm going to stay with it. Screw it. I'm having fun. At any time, if anybody wants to come in and leave and they just get a portion of this about being grateful, being generous, being positive, being patient, more power to them. We need more of that in this world, okay? So I'm going to stay on. And please, ask me any question that you have on this topic. And I love talking about it. I love nerding out on it. And so bring it on. Okay? All right. Let me see who's here. Alex. Oh, thank you, Tali. Amanda's, right, Amanda? That's amazing. Like when you think about somebody, boom, you get the phone call. And so anytime that happens, you can actually use that as a confirmation. Cha-ching! Okay, let's put that in the manifestation, experiment checkbook. The more we get of those, the more power that's going to be behind, more positivity is going to be behind what it is that, we're moving forward in our lives. Yeah. Yay. Hey, Mike, Susan, Tati. Hi, Alyssa, Diane, Luann. Okay. Well, no one's asking any question. Everybody's just saying really nice, sweet things, and I'm loving it. And so I'll just in case somebody does formulate a question, what I'm going to do is I'm going to, hey, Mike, thank you. Okay, so I'm going to talk about what I have coming up. And what I have coming up is Wanderlust Festival. At the end of July, I'll be at Wanderlust Festival teaching Acro Yoga with an amazing group of experienced teachers. I have like 10. There's 10 of us, and Justin Bench is my co-teacher on that one. So we'll be in Tahoe for that. And if you're around, please come. And in September, and I'll put the link into the description too. In September, we have my dear friend yogi Nancy Goodfella and I are doing a yoga and meditation teacher training here in Costa Rica, in Santa Teresa, right on the beach at an amazing place. It's called Pranamar Retreat and Villas. It's probably one of the most amazing retreat centers in Costa Rica, and we have we manifested that one. Okay, so it's an amazing spot. We already have students coming from like 9 different countries who are already signed up for this, and we're going to cover a lot of these things. Even though it's going to be about yoga and meditation, there's going to be a lot of internal work, a lot of what it means to really be a positive, conscious, loving, and compassionate human being in this world. Because ultimately what it comes down to is that when we align with our heart and we have the intention, we have the attention to live in this world in a conscious and loving way, that is the energy that we bring to everybody that we get in contact with. So we're doing a yoga teacher training. Yeah, it's a 200-hour yoga teacher training, or yoga and meditation teacher training. And yes, we're going to show you all kinds of different ways to where you can actually be a leader and help people, show you things to how to teach and all that. What's most important to me is to really empower whoever comes there with how powerful they are as a human being, and to go to the heart and live from the heart in this world, because that is the biggest teacher. Ultimately, if we can model what it's like to have the courage to be able to go inward and heal ourselves and love ourselves, and we don't really have to tell people how to do that. It emanates out, and it transmits on an energetic level, and it inspires people to want to do the same. And this is how we're going to change the world, and one person at a time. Each person that awakens to their heart and their self-love and their power, and they touch another group of people, and they touch others, and it just spreads out like that. And we are going to do it, and this is how it's done. So that's what the teacher training is all about for me, okay? So if you know anybody, if you're interested, send me a note, let me know, and we can talk about it, see how we can make that work out. Okay, so I think that I want to just thank you guys so much. I love you. Thank you for taking the time out of your day, out of your Sunday, to join me and share in this conversation. And I hope that you share this with others, and I hope that you inspire others with your conscious openness and from your heart. Yeah. Love you guys. Bye-bye.